Hello, welcome to Studio 23 Nashville. You want to say anything?
Howdy.
Howdy, howdy.
Howdy.
Welcome to our
show today?
Yes. We have an exciting cowboy western singer. Not a western swinger, but a singer.
A songwriter, Western Music Hall of Famer, yes. A narrator,
this guy
yes.
is something else. He goes deep. He knows. He's met Walt Disney personally.
I'm telling you, we have someone famous here today.
His name is Rex Allen Jr. We're very happy to have Rex with us today. Let's get on with the show.
It's time for Studio 23 Nashville with your hosts, Brian Cumming and Jennifer Herron. Today's very special guest is Rex Allen Jr.
Hey, welcome to Studio 23 Nashville. Brian Cumming, Jennifer Herron, and Rex Allen Jr. What an honor to have you
Good to see you
sitting
guys. Thank you.
I'm telling
Good
you.
to see
Great
you.
to have you here, Rex.
You know, that's not, Rex Allen Jr. is one name for me, and then when I did the Statler Brothers show, you know, on TNN, you know what they called, and Statler called me?
What?
Tex Alvin Jr. Old Road Dog. Oh, well, that's Tex Alvin Jr.
Oh, that's good.
And I call them the Stafford Brothers.
Oh, great, great. Mix everybody up.
You were telling us in the studio that show was incredibly popular.
When I also, they did a spin-off too. The most popular segment on the show was the Yesteryear segment that Janie Fricke and I did. So they spun it off into its own series. And when Yesteryear and the Statler Brothers were on Saturday night on TNN, we still hold the record for being the highest rated cable shows in television history.
You know, the
Still today.
Statler brothers couldn't rave about you enough. One time they had said, that guy has the golden voice. And they had said, he can sing any song you throw at him.
I'll tell you a story. I do that a lot, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But about year 3, you know, and I'd already done, probably 30 or 40 songs on the Yesteryear thing. It was the end of the series of year 3, and the staff, Harold and Don, who were the writers, they came up to me and they said, Rex, we have tried to stump you for the last 3 years on songs. We have thrown every obscure piece of material at you, and you seem to know every single one, and we don't know how. There's songs that we've never heard of, but you know them. How do you know those songs? And I looked at him and laughed, and I said, well, my dad helped me build a crystal radio when I was little, and the only guy I could get was Wolfman Jack. Then I started listening to Dr. Demento, and so I ended up knowing all those things. There was music in my house when I was growing up.
Yeah.
Was everything, everywhere. It was every kind of music. My parents' album collection was everything from the Sons of the Pioneers to Frank Sinatra. So we listened to everything.
And you were in Arizona.
No,
So,
I was in L.A.
Oh, Chicago. Oh, L.A.
L.A.
Okay.
I was born in Chicago. I was
Okay.
born in Chicago when Mom and Dad were on the WLS National Barn Dance.
Okay. In Chicago, you could get radio signals from.
No, I was too little, man. I was
Okay.
just a.
Okay.
I was a
Let me get all this straight.
I was a
Okay.
whippersnapper. Stick with the timeline here.
Okay. Chicago.
My dad moved. I was born in '47. The family moved to California in 1949.
Okay.
So I never don't even remember Chicago. And then 50, my brother was born in California, and Dad started doing films right around 1950. So I grew up in Southern California.
In the real golden age of the movies.
Yeah, it was. It was a lot of fun. I mean,
Tell us about some of those folks.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you name drop all the time, but it's not just
I don't
like
mean
a
to do
casual
that, Jen.
elbow rub. You were friends with these people. You went to their homes. Who were some of those folks?
Well, Dusty Rogers, Roy Jr., he used to come and spend a week at my house in the summer, and then I'd go spend a week at Roy and Dale's. And no, it wasn't fun.
They wouldn't fix
Dusty
you
liked to
sandwiches.
come to my house
Yeah.
more than I like to go
Oh,
to.
there were rules at Roy's
There
house.
were rules at Roy's. Well, no, Roy didn't have the rules. Dale had the rules.
Yeah, we
It's
know who ran the
It's like
roost.
Dusty always said. He says, I was 21 years old before I wore a pair of underwear that didn't have Roy Rogers on it. You know, well, luckily I never had to go through that. But I mean, I grew up with, the Sons of the Pioneers were at the house. I mean, I can remember, for those of you who love Western music, a party, and I was sitting on the floor watching it. I was about 12, 13 years old. There was Bob Nolan, Tex Williams, my dad, and Slim Pickens all sitting on the couch.
Oh, wow.
And they were all singing songs.
Oh,
And you know, that's the first time I ever heard Strawberry Roan, and it was by Slim Pickens, and it's still the filthiest thing I've ever heard in my life. But everybody laughed. See, now there's another song, we were talking off camera about Western music and its heritage.
Yeah.
Strawberry Roan is an old Irish melody, by the way.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
but the 50s and the Western movies that were being made, that was still not, I mean, there were a lot of them that were popular. Roy Rogers and Gene Autry, that was more
Well,
40s.
see, they all lump them all together.
Yeah.
They lump Dad, Gene, and Roy into the same box.
Yeah.
And because they were the three most popular, but they were all literally in three separate time periods. I mean, you know, Autry started in the 30s, and then Roy came in the 40s,
Yeah.
and then Dad was in the 50s. Now, you may have gone to the movies
Yeah.
on Saturday and spent a quarter to see a double feature of Dad and Roy Rogers, but it was a rerun of Roy and a new one of Dad, you know.
Yeah.
So that, but
Were
it
they
was,
similar production studios in LA that were making all these movies?
well, yeah,
Was there
Dad
continuity?
and Roy and Dad's films were all made at Republic Pictures, and now Roy did. Everybody thinks that, you know, it was Gene Autry and Roy Rogers that did the most films, but it wasn't. Roy did 98 singing. The information I have, you have to qualify anything nowadays that there's a lawyer
Walking
following.
trivia.
Well, no, there's a lawyer following every statement.
Yeah.
But my information is that Roy did 98 cowboy films. Autry did 98 cowboy films. Dad only did 19, but the one who did the most was Charles Surratt. He did 150 some films, cowboy movies. And they were all singing cowboy movies, even though he didn't sing. He had the Sons of the Pioneers, or Riders of the Purple Sage, or one of those things were in all the films. So they qualified as singing cowboy. But when you really sit down and figure it out, there are about 4,000 singing cowboy films. 4,000.
4,000. All with song, and you were talking off camera before about the way those films were shot, and there would be
Well,
instructions
Dad's
to
shot-
write songs the next day.
Dad's movies were shot on a budget of $40,000 in 8 days.
That was the whole movie.
The whole movie.
Yeah.
And he'd finish the shooting in the day at 5 or 6 o'clock, and the script girl would come up and hand him 4 pages of dialogue and say, "Here, this is your lines for tomorrow, memorize them tonight. Oh, by the way, we need 2 more songs tomorrow." So Dad'd have to go home, memorize lines, and then he'd write 2 songs, or come up with 2 public domain songs that he would rewrite.
Would they record the song the next day
Oh, yeah.
on camera as part
On
of the movie?
camera, they would do it on camera. Most of the time it was done on camera. There were some things that weren't, of course, that were cut in the studio, but most
And were
of them-
those like the soundtrack? Were those released as records?
No, not in Dad's case.
Okay.
Now Autry lip sank everything. Dad
Really?
everything. Well,
Yeah.
you can't say everything.
Yeah.
The majority of
was his-
Autry's stuff was lip sync, and that's because Autry was the one who, in my opinion, Jennifer, invented the country music video, because he was literally doing
Marketing those songs.
marketing the songs
Through the
with the
movie.
film.
Yeah.
And so you'll hear, you know, when Autry came out of the service, the first record he did, and it was not the title song for the film, but it was used in his first film, was Sioux City Sue. And which sold millions of records, millions and millions of records. But, you know, all of that era, there were, in Hollywood, it was a very close-knit community. And, you know, they all knew one another. And everybody, I won't tell the story now, but you know, you have to buy the book. But my brother shot Clark Gable.
Shot him literally. Bang bang.
Shot him.
Oh my gosh.
What was?
Read the book.
Oh,
I'm gonna have to get all this
And that's
information.
the first time. It was at that point in time. The reason why the story is important, because that's when I met Marilyn Monroe.
okay.
You met Marilyn Monroe. I need the juice on this one. Are
Was
you
it
gonna
when
spell
Clark
the
Gable
B's
and
before
Marilyn
the
Monroe were
goes on
working
the page?
together?
It was when
The
they were
last
doing
movie.
the last movie.
Yeah.
And yeah, Marilyn was, when Clark got shot, Marilyn was there. She was coming out of the house, and Clark said, "Marilyn, come on over. There's some people I'd like you to meet." So she walked over to the pool, and she introduced us. "This is Rex Allen. Oh, I've loved your movies." And da da da. "This is my son, Rex Allen Jr. How do you do? I know who you are. Thank you. Nice to meet you." She's gorgeous.
No
Oh,
picture? You didn't get a picture to capture that moment? Did
We
you
didn't
realize?
have cell phones in those days, believe it or not.
And did you realize at the time the magnitude? I mean, you mentioned Bud Abbott and
Lou Costello,
Lou
John
Costello,
Wayne, all of those guys.
Johnny Weissmuller,
Johnny Weissmuller.
different folks that you hung out with. Did you realize, or were they just Dad's friends?
They were just to me they were just real normal people. You know,
It was the world you grew up in.
it's the world I grew up in, and you know they borrowed things from one another. Let me tell you a story. You'll love this. You'll love this one. My dad. I can remember one day, Dad looked down at himself. He was sitting. We were waiting to go on. So he was waiting to go on somewhere, and I was just, you know, I did one or two songs at Dad's shows. I was about 15 years old. My dad looked down at himself. He says, "Everything." He says, "The only thing I own that I didn't get for free is my underwear." He had on Tony Lama boots. He got his suits from Gross Tailors. He got his hats from Bailey Hats. He got his shirts from Tim Tex. He got his ties from someplace else. He says, "I haven't bought a damn thing except my shorts, and I'm working on a way to get those for free." Well, he and Slim Pickens and Ken Curtis and one other guy, I can't remember who, they created something called the Freeloaders Club to see who could get the most stuff for nothing. And you know who won? They disbanded the club because of this guy that won, and it was Slim Pickens. Slim Pickens got a 40-foot motorhome for nothing, so they just gave him the award and quit the club.
Good times. Hey, we're going to talk some more with Rex Allen Jr. coming up on Studio 23 Nashville. He's got some amazing stories, doesn't he?
Whoa.
Be the envy of the neighborhood. Make your friends jealous. Be the first on your block to get official swag from Studio 23 Nashville, Pinkerton Productions, and Brian Cumming. Just visit our store at the bottom of the page and order yours today.
Straighten up and flat right.
Now available, Come Out Swingin', the new CD by the Brian Cumming Jazz Quartet. Come Out Swingin' is available at studio23nashville.com and all major digital retailers.
Say, come out swinging.
Come Out Swingin' by the Brian Cumming Jazz Quartet. Get yours today.
All right, we're about to head to the studio with Brian and Rex. They've got their guitars strapped on for some great music for us.
Rex,
What?
A song like a title like It's Over sounds like
You
it
know,
might be sad.
you're going to find that I'm a little off center.
Well,
So it's okay.
We can reset
you
the
know.
camera.
No, I'm all right.
So, folks, these are special effects that are natural.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
we're all natural. It's
Okay.
over. I was coming back. This was about 1980, and I'm the only person in Nashville that ever had a bus stolen.
Did you ever find it?
Oh yeah, it was Christmas Day, 1980, and I got a call on Christmas Day, and it was from the police up in north of Nashville, the town where Don Williams lives. I can't remember. And they said, "We've got some of your property up here." And I said, "Well, I lost a radio out of my garage maybe 5 or 6 years ago. Is that what you guys said?" No, it's a bus. And I said, "You've got my bus up there?" And he said, "Well, sort of. It's on fire." And somebody had stolen my bus on Christmas Day, Christmas morning of Christmas Day. They'd taken it up to north of Nashville, went through it, took all the TVs out of it, and then just went through with a can of gasoline, set it on fire, and burned it to the ground. It was just a pile of aluminum. So I started, yeah, I know. Well, I was working the rodeo in San Angelo, Texas. And so I called my dad. Dad had about a 20-foot motorhome. I said, "Dad," "I'm going to fly out and get the motorhome." I said, "I can't get a bus fast enough." So he gave me the motorhome. I drove back to Nashville, loaded up the band, and we went to San Angelo, Texas. And we did the rodeo, and we're coming back, and two of my band guys were sitting here writing this song. And I said, "You got it. It's close, but let me help you here." And it's not about a woman as much as it's about my bus being over.
Oh,
it's over. But this was a top 10 record for me, and it did help pay for the new bus.
All right.
What, you ready? You gonna play?
Yes, sir.
1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Now, wait a minute. The other reason why
Yeah.
this song is important is because something you probably don't know. Do you know this? 65% of all of the country music records sold on the earth are sold out of Texas. That's true.
65%.
65%.
Whoa.
Yeah. So you want to be a hit in Texas. And the reason why, and you got to cut music that they can dance to down there.
And this is one of them.
This is why you can dance, not dance, Jennifer. You can dance to it.
Dance to it.
Buy you a long neck if you dance with me, kind of dancing music. So that's why it's a dancing song.
I'm ready for you.
1, 2, 3, 4, 1. My trembling hand reaches for the phone. Yes, my heart says stop. The pride in me says don't. But I can't stand the thought of being here without you. Oh, it's over. I'm taking on the blues. It's over, Lord, it's over, and I won't feel no more the tender touch I still adore. Now VFW Saturday night, I won't dial your number. Oh, I know the words you'll use. It's over, I'm taking on the blues. All right, kick it now. Now I was once a puppet on a string. Oh, one little tug, and I'd do anything. But I never once heard words like love and need from you. Oh, it's over, I'm taking on the blues. Here we go, everybody sing. It's over, Lord, it's over, and I won't feel no more the tender touch I still adore. So I won't dial your number. Oh, I know the words you'll use. It's over, I'm taking on the blues. Here we go. It's over, I'm taking on the blues. Ooh, the thunderous applause. You can
They've
see them
been
out there.
dancing. They
They've
dancing.
been rubbing bellies together and having a wonderful time.
And all them long necks. It can get kind of dangerous
Well,
out
have
there.
you ever seen a holster for a long neck? They got them.
Hickman County, Tennessee. It feels a lot like home, or how home should feel. Come by, sit a spell. Soak in the goodness that inspired Minnie Pearl to write about this special place. Visit Hickman County, Tennessee's hidden treasure.
If you love music, I bet you've heard of this guy. What do you call your music? How do you define
It's
it?
simple. It's hillbilly blues, Caribbean rock and roll.
Hey, mister, where you from? You want to buy some coconut rum? I know a girl who drinks it too, and I can fix her up with you. Hustling on Bay Street, anytime, night or day street. It's yours if you can pay street. Hustling on Bay Street.
If it weren't for food, I wouldn't have half the songs I have. I mean, it's a very inspirational and spiritual occupation to do what I do, and especially with the food influences.
Get their mouths watering, right? They're
Well,
drooling at the stage.
I have
over
actually,
here.
I might be the only songwriter that I know of that's used the word meringue in a song lyric. But it's a little song about a diner in the Mississippi Delta called the Blue and White, and they're famous for their lemon meringue pie. So I said, I got to put that in my song.
What's the line?
I've never heard another song. You know, it said, then she said with a southern twang, save room for pie, we got that good meringue. Now, I've never heard another songwriter use that in a song, so I think that might be my only real claim to fame when it's all said and done.
She said, I can take a few days off from work while you are here. Everybody does it around that time of year. We don't have to talk about true love or anything. If only you can come back to New Orleans in the spring.
Okay, welcome back.
Yes.
You were going to ask me
Studio
about Ken
Nashville.
Curtis.
Yes,
Okay.
Festus. We're asking him about the characters. You remember Festus? Yeah.
Remember Festus from Gunsmoke?
Oh, that was it.
Ken Curtis he was a wonderfully kind, loving man. He was one of the nicest people I ever knew in my life. And Ken Curtis spent his entire career replacing people. Did you know that?
No.
Here, this is really wild trivia. Ken Curtis, you know the first person he replaced? He replaced some guy named Frank Sinatra with the Tommy Dorsey Band.
Really?
He was the next singer with.
Oh, hell
Big
yeah.
band like that? I did not
Oh
know
my
that.
gosh.
Now, the
That's
next person wait a minute, he did that, big bands went out. Guess who he replaced next?
Who?
Bob Nolan with the Sons of the Pioneers.
Oh.
He became the lead singer of the Sons of the Pioneers. Then he replaced, what's his name, on Gunsmoke
Yeah.
and became Festus. His whole career was nothing but replacing people
Dennis
all the way
Weaver.
down. Dennis Weaver.
Yes.
He replaced Dennis Weaver on Gunsmoke.
Very.
Isn't that wild?
Yes.
Yes. Taking his
Chester.
characters, we were talking about the Lone Ranger.
Oh, yeah, Clayton Moore. We lived at, our house in the San Fernando Valley was at 5401 Donna Avenue. And it was in Tarzana. And we lived in kind of the middle of the block. Oh, I got another one to tell you about that. Next door neighbor was Ben Franklin, and Ben Franklin was his great-great-great-grandfather.
Oh my
And, and yeah, and anyway, down the street was Clayton Moore. He lived down the street. And so we used to go trick-or-treat at Clayton Moore's house, Lone Ranger, and he wore the mask. Yeah, he met you at the door and wore the mask. Didn't wear the hat, but he wore the mask.
Isn't that great? Can you
Cool.
imagine growing
And so
up like
you
that?
saw that as a kid, trick or
Oh,
treat.
yeah.
That's
It's
amazing.
hard to replace.
Well, it's kind of like I told you about Christmas. We used to go over, all kids, you want to take them out and show them all the lights. They do it here in Nashville, and I did it with my children and that sort of thing. And where we went was right down the street from where we went to school, but it was right around Ventura Boulevard, Coldwater Canyon. There was a beautiful area back in there. And Walt Disney lived in there. And the first time I actually really met Walt was at his house. Dad took us over there. I couldn't have been very old, maybe 8, 9 years old. And Walt actually set up a train in his front yard and went around to the backyard, one of those little miniature trains, and he was the engineer. He was the engineer, and we'd ride the train. And then we'd go down and look at Bud Abbott's house, and Lou Costello lived right down there, and that sort of stuff, yeah.
Amazing. Now, you brought up the Disney connection. So, your dad is the voice that so many
He was
people
the
grew
dog,
up
yeah.
with. And
And
even
Charlie,
kids
that lonesome
nowadays.
cougar, he went and got all them flapjacks.
Doesn't he sound like his dad? I think that's amazing.
I can do it. It comes in the genes, you know.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, one of my favorite movies, I'm such a kid at heart, but I love Charlotte's Web.
Yeah, it's
And
been on
after that,
HBO.
yeah, it's still for a new generation. It just
Yeah,
continues and
continues.
continues.
But that's what Walt told me. He said, I bring back things every 7 years because I have a new audience every 7 years. the Disney people call me about every 5 to 10 years, and they say, okay, we're going to go back in and change the music, and we want to change the narration on the narrations that your dad did on The Wonderful World of Colors. Would you be interested in doing them? I said, sure. Well, the reason why they want to change them is because animals don't change, but language changes and music changes. So what they're talking about is doing new language and that sort of thing. And I say, yeah, I'd be willing to do it. I think it'd be great. Then to have 2 different versions, two different generations of versions. And then I'll wait and won't hear a word from them for about 6 months, and they'll call back and say, no, we're going to leave them exactly the way they are.
With your dad.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, he narrated too.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever seen the Jim Carrey movie?
Me, Myself, and Irene.
Oh.
I'm the guy that goes, meet Charlie Bailey Gates of the Rhode Island State Police, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Poor Charlie.
Was Jim Carrey mouthing those
No,
words?
no, no,
Oh, you're
no,
another
no.
character?
I was I narrated the whole movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Renee
Well, you are a
Zellweger
natural.
was
You
in
Renee
really have a
Zellweger.
good voice for that.
I've done a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
I've done narrations for ESPN. I've done them for the BBC. I've done myriads of commercials over the years.
Yeah. You do characters then, or?
No, I just do me. I'm the guy that said, I'm the guy that did, folks, me and my RC, me and my RC, 'cause what's good enough for other folks ain't good enough for me and my RC. That was you. Yeah, when you work
That
for
was
Old
you?
Man River.
That's the reaction we get. Yeah,
Yeah.
isn't that great?
He's the boss, you understand? Yeah.
I love it.
I've done Sears commercials, you name it, and still do them. I've got commercials. Let's see. Right now, there's Mahindra tractor commercials are running. Kubota tractor commercials are running. I've got WD-40 commercials running. So I do.
So do you get a free tractor?
No, I didn't get any damn.
You're not working
tractor.
deals like Daddy. He didn't teach you that
No,
trade, huh?
no, I don't get it. I told you I don't get anything for free.
You did follow so much in your dad's footsteps, though. I mean, here you are with the cowboy hat. Here you are with the narration and some of your music. But some of your music strayed. You were talking about a girlfriend and you going to a concert at Hollywood Bowl one time.
Yeah, I think it kind of gets back to kind of the Saddle Brothers story, but about the well-rounded music, and we listen to everything, and I still listen to everything, Jennifer. I don't listen to much modern country music because I don't like the format right now, and perhaps it'll change. Maybe it'll grow up and either go back. Of course, my dad always said everything comes around in circles, and but yeah, I saw Hendrix, for goodness sake. He was the opening act for the Mamas and Papas. And that guy that did, if you're going to San Francisco,
Scott McKinsey.
they threw flowers all over the stage. And we were a bunch of yuppie kids, and we thought, God, that guy, trying to make love to the guitar and lighting it on fire and throwing it against the amplifiers, and the sound is different, it's crazy, and we don't like it, we don't like it, we don't like it. Well, about 3 days later, I said, oops.
That's the stuff.
I've seen the future.
Yeah.
And so
And when you came to Nashville, you were really not the traditional Nashville.
No,
band.
Shelby. I came here and Shelby Singleton signed me to SSS Records. Now, for those of you who don't know, Shelby, in those days, he had a big act by the name of Jeannie C. Riley, and had just come off a Harper Valley PTA. And he signed me. SSS Records was the pop side of it, so they signed me to a pop, really kind of a pop deal, but it didn't work out. And I was with Shelby's label for 18 months and then went on,
But you were saying earlier that it was really the influence of the Beatles on you as a
Well, no,
writer.
it's like I've told people before. The whole group of us that were here in the 70s, we really are the ones that made the initial change in country music and provided, I believe in my heart, that we provided the avenue for the Garth Brookses and the Toby Keiths and the
current outlaws.
the current outlaws. And the reason why is we came to town, all of us did. We know who Hank Williams is. We've listened to his music. In my case, I knew who the Sons of the Pioneers were. But it's like I told you before. As a songwriter, most influential people in my songwriting life were Lennon and McCartney. And what they taught us all, Gatlin was a great writer, but they taught us all that we could write our own songs. So when we came to town, it was, well, we've got the standard songwriters that we want to pitch. You need to cut such and such. And I said, no, no, I got a song over here that I want to cut. My biggest problem with Nashville was that, and my Warner Brothers years, was that Warner Brothers decided they wanted to take me back in a pop direction. Well, I don't have a pop voice. Yeah. Now, I don't sing in soprano. I'm not a soprano. I'm a baritone. But they wanted to take me more in a pop direction. So they hired a producer. And we fought and fought and fought through the whole thing, through the production. And the album was released. It had one single on it that did pretty well, and the rest of it just tanked. It's my least favorite album. The producer came, I was doing a Norris show down on Elliston Place, and the producer who had produced the album came to the show, saw my show, and he said, Rex, I want to apologize to you. I said, what for? He says, if I had ever seen you perform, I would have never done what I did to you. The problem with Nashville producers, and I'm going to tell you it's the majority of them, is they never leave their offices on Music Row, and they ain't never been to a honky-tonk in Texas.
Yeah, that's right.
They have never been there. And it's like I told you before, we were just sitting around chatting, 65% of the records sold in the United States of America are sold in Texas.
Know that audience, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, and you've got to know that audience.
Yeah, definitely.
And you can't. Yeah, I admire some of the people and what they're doing, but the majority of it, no, you can't dance to it.
No. Gotta be able to
That's
dance
why.
in Texas.
That's why
That's
if you
what
go
we
to
like.
Fort Worth, Texas today, and go to the clubs in Fort Worth, they're not playing current music. The reason why is that you can't dance to it, so they're still playing. Now they'll play George Strait, they'll play me, they'll play, that sort of stuff, but you can't dance to it.
Yeah.
Dancing is an eternal reality.
I'm telling
it's a
you,
reality.
in Texas for sure.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll be back with more and find out what's going on as of late with Rex
Oh, that'd
Allen
be
Jr.
fun.
Yeah, on Studio 23 Nashville.
Do you want to win friends and influence people? Don't buy a book. Advertise on Studio 23 Nashville. It's easy. Just contact us at studio23nashville@gmail.com.
We're going to find out all kinds of good stuff about this music. I mean, a songwriter who wrote a state song. Here's your chance to hear it on Studio 23 Nashville.
All right, let's do a state song. I know you wrote
Yeah, I did.
a beautiful song.
I was doing I was doing concept albums a long time ago, and the first album was Oklahoma Rose in 1980, and Rose was a wonderful. To me, it's the best album I ever did. But Rose, that's where It's Over came from. It came off that album. So I was doing the second album, the second concept album was called Cats in the Cradle, and I needed a prologue song, a song to set the mood for it. So I called my dad and I said, Dad, have you got any songs about Arizona that you've written and haven't recorded? I need a prologue. And Dad said, Son, you claim to be a songwriter. Go write your own damn song. I'm glad he said that, because I went to my dad and in probably 30 minutes came out with this song. I just wrote about a place and a people that have been a part of my life all of my life. My first memories are of going to Arizona with my dad. So the song, I'll give you a hint, and you know this because you're a writer and a singer. If you're going to write songs or poetry, write from the heart and not the head. You write from the head, take you forever. You write from the heart, it falls on the page. So the first words are simple, just so simple. They were, I love you, Arizona, your mountains, deserts, and streams, the and the outlaws I see in my dreams. I love you, Arizona. Superstitions and all, the warmth you give at sunrise, your sunsets put music in a soul. Hey, Arizona, you're the magic in me. Ooh, hey, Arizona, you're the lifeblood of me. I love you, Arizona. Desert dust on the wind, sage and cactus just blooming, and the smell of the rain on your skin. Ooh, Arizona, you're the magic in me. Ooh, hey, Arizona, you're the lifeblood of me. Nice job.
Oh, that's a pretty song.
Thank
right?
you.
That's
Actually,
song.
Arizona is really, if you really think about it, I wrote Arizona as if the state were a woman.
Yeah, I heard about the rain on your skin.
Rain
but
on
that
your
could
skin,
be-
yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, well, we can talk about some
Yeah.
other things too, but we won't
Yeah.
on camera.
Okay. We have learned so much about the cowboy movies and the life in Hollywood in
Yeah.
the early 50s. And
It's a lot of fun. One more early 50s story, and then I'll
Okay.
quit on that. We'll talk about what's going on in me today.
Okay.
You asked about Elvis, and he was managed by Colonel Tom Parker.
Yeah.
And Colonel Tom had Elvis, but he also wanted country music acts too. Eddie Arnold was one.
Yeah.
And I think he actually managed Eddie for a while. He tried to get Roy, and he tried to get Dad. And so Dad invited him over to dinner at the house. My mom cooked. And he says, well, I got a new act I want to bring. I got an act that I'm managing. Dad says, who is it? Elvis Presley. And Dad says, oh, yeah, I know that. He's got the first record out, da-da-da-da-da. So actually, Colonel Tom Parker and Elvis came to dinner at the house.
When he was still really a fresh
Fresh face.
recording
It was
artist,
his
yeah.
first trip to Hollywood. And so he came to dinner, and what I remember, I sat next to Elvis, and he was absolutely wonderfully charming, wonderful man, young man in those days. But I remember Colonel Tom Parker more than Elvis, and the reason why is because my mother fixed fried chicken, and he'd eat the chicken and drop the bones on the floor.
Oh my God!
But the first end of that story is after the dinner was over, they left and so on. And Elvis came back and knocked on the door, and I answered the door, and he said, "Here, I want you to have this." And he says, "This is my latest record, and the picture book." And then he had signed it,
Oh,
gave it
my
to me.
goodness.
Then 2 days later, we went to the Beverly Hills Hotel to have another meeting. Dad says, "Come on, you can go with me." I said, "Okay." So I went, and Elvis walked into the suite, from the bedroom into the suite without a shirt on, and Colonel Tom looked at him and said, "Go put a shirt on, boy. You don't walk around like that around these people." And Elvis said, "Yes, sir." Walked back, put a shirt on, came in and said,
So yeah, I
Do you
met
still have?
No.
Oh.
Don't have any idea.
So
One
you
of my
must have-
ex-wives has probably got it somewhere.
So you might have been 8 or 9.
8 or 9 years old.
That was a great time to meet Elvis. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he was young.
I can't even
Just
imagine.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the new stuff.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about- You're on a farewell tour.
Yeah, I'm gonna hang it up October 7th of 17, and
Your
it's
fans
not
are
that
not
I.
happy about it.
Well, no, my fans are kind of upset. Not really upset. They're being very understanding.
Yeah.
And I've been doing this I did it for the first 8 years. Where I worked with my dad, and he didn't pay me. When I worked with Dad, I'd see him paying the musicians every night. I said, "Well, Dad, I sang in the show. Do I get paid too?" He said, "You got dinner, didn't you?" "Yes, sir."
And free
Okay.
underwear.
Earn your keep.
Free underwear, and it doesn't have my name on it. So anyway, in high school I started making money. We started in folk music, and then went on from there. So I've been doing it a long time, and it's like I tell people what I want to do is I want to see the world from the other side of the footlights.
Yeah.
I have spent my entire life, carrying a guitar on my back, so going, I've been to England, yes, I've been to, Europe and places like that, but everywhere I want to carry, it's like Leroy Van Dyke's music. "What are you going to do when you retire?" I said, "Well, I'm going to buy a motorhome, drag a car behind it, and I'd like to go see fall in New England." He says, "You've been to fall in New England. You went up there with me." I said, "Leroy," the first time I was there, I worked the Vermont State Fair. We drove in and got there at night, slept the day, got up, did the date, left after the date, and drove home. I just didn't see a darn thing.
Yeah.
I said, "When I worked for you, I flew in at night. You had a 9 a.m. sound check, stayed in the venue because the first show was at 2 o'clock. It was dark by the time I got back to the room. Got up the next morning. I saw fall from 35,000 feet. I said, I want to go up and see it.
Right. Experience. all
I want to
this
go
stuff.
see things like that. And while I can still get around, it's not to say I'm not going to sing anymore. Yes, I am. But I'll give you a Red Steagall story. I was just a couple of months ago. I did Red's.
You've got some TV shows airing with him in
July.
July.
And I did the radio interview with him, and then a TV show, his TV show that he does for RFD, I think. But I said, he said, "So you're going to quit, huh?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "But," he says, "What's the but?" I said, "Well, you know that charity thing you do, that check wagon deal?" He says, "Yeah." I said, "I'd like to do that." He says, "Well, it's already done for this year, Rex." And he says, "We can't afford you." I said, "That's why I'm retiring.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay me.
Yeah.
I don't want to be paid.
Yeah.
I want to go I want to go do nice things for nice people. Am I going to retire? No. And I've got Garage Songs 10 is out now. I've started 11.
What's the origin of Garage Songs?
Oh,
Tell him about it, because each one's like a different theme.
Yeah.
they're all different themes. Yeah. Here's how it all started. I was going through a divorce. And you know how you separate everything that's in the storage building?
Yeah.
And the ex took half of it, and I took, well, that's yours, and this is mine, this is yours, this is mine. And so I loaded it all into my garage, and there was boxes I hadn't opened in 20 years or longer.
Yeah.
And I opened a box, and it was nothing but old demo tapes
Ooh.
that I had done,
Yeah.
back in the 70s. And I thought, golly, so I got on Facebook, and I said, I found a bunch of old things in the garage. I said, would any of you guys like to hear any of them? And I got 300 or 400 hits saying, yeah, we'd love to hear them. Well, I didn't even own a tape recorder to play them.
Yeah.
So I had to go
Cassettes,
in and start recutting them, and then it kind of morphed into other things. And I've done a folk album because that's where my roots were when I first started singing. I had a folk group, and I basically what the Garage Songs projects have become is really the music of my life. And am I doing it to sell millions of them? No. I'm really doing it for my children and my grandchildren, so they'll have a history of what music I lived through in my life.
And you got to capture some of their voices because you brought up Garage
Oh
Songs
yeah,
10.
10, yeah. That's called The Last Cowboy. It's the last Western album I'm going to do, is the current one that's out right now. And they're all concepted. That's why one of the liner notes say, the problem with today's music, in my opinion, is that people download one or maybe two songs. Well, we as artists, and you know this, we all go through, we concept it all, and they all are in a particular order, or we recorded them for a particular reason to fit a format. And if you download just one song off the album, to me that's like reading only one chapter in a book and thinking you've read the book. So the album, as an example, starts with, it's really a chronological history of my experiences in Western music. And it starts with a song my father wrote when he was about 14 years old that ended up the theme song for all of his movies, which is Arizona Cowboy. To-de-roll-em, to-rail-em, to-rall-em, to-roam. I'm an Arizona cowboy and the desert's my home. And it was, he sang
wrote
it.
that when he was 14?
Yes.
Yeah. And it was used in his first film, and then it became the theme song when they ran the title.
Yeah.
Da 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 da, big orchestra thing.
Yeah.
Well, it had never been cut after Dad did it back in the 40s. He cut it when he was on the Barn Dance in Chicago. So I recut it. But the twist to it is that if you listen to the chorus, it has my brother Kurt singing on it. It has my sister Benita. It has her daughter Maddie. It has my son Wyatt. It has my other son Cody, my other son Logan, and my grandchildren Mary Fletcher and Jackson singing on it. Jackson Rex.
Whoa.
All of them singing the chorus.
Well, that's at least 7 people that are going to buy the record.
Well, no, heck, they want it for free.
Oh, of course.
But the whole point is then it goes from there, it goes up through one of my favorite songs that Michael Martin Murphey wrote, but I learned it through Hoyt Axton, was Geronimo's Cadillac. Which, to me, it's a cowboy song. I cut an Eagles tune, which to me the Eagles did a Western album.
Yeah.
And then there's a new song by Eddie Raven called cowboy song called "We Rub Trains." Me and Jesse and we rub trains. And then the last song on the album was the #1 Western song of about 2 or 3 years ago by Junie Fisher called "Listen," and she doesn't like it because I did it my way. But so there's a history to the garage songs. All of them are that way. The one before that was folk songs. Then there's some pop. There's a pop album.
Yeah.
I mean, like I told you earlier about the Statler Brothers and what they said about me. When you buy if you get the garage song projects, you'll hear all of that stuff. You'll hear, when you just give love, never get love, you gotta let love depart. I know it's so, and yet I know I can't get you out of my heart.
Oh my gosh, I've been so good by Rex Allen Jr. I'm gonna melt. You better go to Rex Allen Jr. RexAllenJr.com. Check out that tour. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it's the last leg. But
Well, you're going to the last show.
I am. Wilcox, Arizona.
Garden Spot of the Universe, Center of Culture and Education, cattle capital of the world, and hometown of Rex Allen.
Yep.
The one and only Rex Allen Jr.
Yeah,
Oh,
thank you so
There's a lot of cool
much.
stuff
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah.
We've got books, and very briefly, because I know you're trying to wind it up, but I'm not really retiring in that I got the call 2 weeks ago. There's a company that's got 2 Western films that they're doing in October and November. I haven't even told you this. October and November, and I'm playing the sheriff, and I'm doing all the music for him. I got another guy that's got a couple of films to do, ironically, the same time period. And so I'm still doing stuff like that.
That's great.
Still
You
doing
won't be
everything.
sitting in the rocker, in other words, at home.
No.
Hey, thanks for joining us on Studio 23.
That's cool. I had a good time too. Thanks.
We've had a great time with you, Rex. Terrific. All right. We'll see you next time. Jennifer and Brian and Rex saying
I won't be here.
adios.